There's a real estate developer out of Hollywood who has been building luxury homes for around 30 years now, and he has kind of a unique strategy that you don't see the other developers out there in California doing. Instead of trying to shoot for the moon and sell these mansions for 50 million or 100 million bucks, he's instead renting the houses out for as much as $50,000 per month, and his tenants include some of the most famous celebrities and influencers on the planet.
My Weidlake homes are so famous that you say party and you say Hollywood celebrity, 2,000 to 3,000 people will come.
Today we're talking about Danny Fitzgerald, the man most well known for the row of 4 mansions that he built back around 2010 that have become Hollywood's most notorious party houses. And even though these houses that Danny built are cranking out a ton of cash flow, it's also pretty well documented that the tenants that he's renting to aren't always the most respectful with his homes.
All the tiles were perfect. I mean, there's broken tile, broken tile, broken tile here, broken tile here.
Today we're playing tennis baseball.
Unfortunately, the nature of renting to a lot of the people that Danny has rented to over the years has led to massive parties which have terrorized the neighbors and sometimes even ended in lawsuits. I was able to actually get Danny on the phone for an interview for this video and ask him a bunch of questions about his story as a luxury real estate developer in LA. We'll bring Danny on here in just a second, but first I'm just going to give you guys the quick backstory on these 4 properties that he's most known for anybody who's never heard of him before. The homes are known as the Weidlake complex. Danny started building these right around when the recession hit back in 2008. In total, the 4 houses amount to 46,000 square feet with 32 bedrooms, 51 bathrooms, and even though the homes are pretty private on the backside since they back up to the Hollywood Reservoir, the neighborhood otherwise is a pretty quiet and cozy and normal neighborhood in Hollywood. Building 4 side-by-side mansions and then renting them out to celebrities and influencers is a bold business plan, and it has come with no shortage of headaches. There have been countless encounters with the police at these homes over the years, and the developer Danny has had to deal with some very stressful situations with problematic tenants.
We have to do it quick and being careful because on our lease it says specifically we are not allowed to light fireworks.
Oh, shit.
Let's bring him on to talk about how he got to where he is today and what it's like to own some of the most notorious houses in Hollywood. Quick disclaimer, by the way, guys, Danny's audio and video aren't perfect throughout this video. He was using his phone. We did a Zoom call. He was up in the mountains snowboarding when we talked, so sorry about the video quality, but trust me, it's worth it to stick around for the entire interview. Thanks for joining. We could just kick this off by giving everybody an introduction about who you are as a real estate developer out there in LA and how you got started.
Okay, so I'm Danny Hollywood Homes on Instagram, and I'm DannyFitzgerald.com. And those are basically the 2 things I use the most. I got started probably about, 17 years old when I bought a property with my family in Granada Hills in the valley, and it had a long lot, a big long lot, and I was able to put a guest house on the back of the lot. And then it was such a great idea because you could buy these houses back then in 78 was 65,000 for a house with a big lot. And then you could put a house on the back. So you got to look for properties that you could put guest houses on now. That's the secret. That's what started me.
Next, I asked Danny how he scaled up his business and where he came up with the money to start doing bigger deals.
I had the Century Club. It was a huge nightclub back in 93 through 2000. Like 10 maybe. So I took that the money from the clubs and saved that money and built properties,
Any of you guys out there in California probably know that the Century Club has now officially closed their doors. It closed back in 2007 to make way for some high rises, but this was definitely a hot spot for celebrities to hang out. I mean, Bruce Willis, Marshall Tucker Band, Tyra Banks, Magic Johnson, Prince, Brad Pitt, Carmen Electra, J-Lo, Mark Wahlberg. You guys get the point. This place was the real deal. Anyways, next let's move on to the story of when Danny bought and then built those 4 mansions off of Weidlake Drive.
So tell you a little secret. I bought the Weidlake properties. There was 6 lots. I overpaid $1 million for all 6 lots. Okay. And then my neighbor sold me his lot for 100. So for $1.1 million, I got 7 lots. and it was literally like 700 or 800 feet going down the mountain, the whole way down. I was lucky because I had a good plan checker that could help me figure out how to get these permits. So I finally got the permits by 2006, maybe, and I started building these huge ass walls. It's too big to be true, but I was able to get rid of the dirt cheap. The hillsides are bad now. I would never do them, but back then I was able to because it was a recession, and then people could help me cheap, and I was lucky. But I built all those homes for probably only 10 million back then, and
Wow.
now they're worth about 50.
Dang, turning $10 million into $50 million in about 10 years' time, not a bad return. Now, let's move on to how much money he's bringing in every single month in rental income.
When I first started renting them, I was renting them for like 15,000 for the smaller one, 20,000, and then no 20,000 for the smaller one, and then the next one was like 25, the next one was like 29, and now the rents are doubled almost, they're almost all doubled, and that's over about, they finished in 2011, and I've been renting them ever since. So that's 11 years they've gone to double rents,
Pretty much the entire country has been seeing rent rates go up like crazy over the past 10 years, so it's not all that surprising that Danny has seen the same thing with his places. But when you were Danny and you were renting your houses back in the day out for $20,000 per month, and now you can get $40,000 per month or more, that's big money.
What happened was back then you could build big homes on small lots. My biggest home only has about a 12,000 foot lot, and it has a 16,000 foot home. You have a 16,000 square foot home with over 10 bedrooms and like 18 bathrooms and a big office slash disco with a wet bar. It has a theater. It has a gym. It has steam room, sauna. The master bedroom is over 3,000 square feet there. It's so beautiful. And that was the hype house. When you see that house, it's so Hollywood. It's 200 feet long. It's 60 feet high of all glass, 200 feet long, going like this around the streets and looking at the whole city. So all those homes are so special because there's so much glass and they're so high and they're so beautiful,
It sounds like a pretty good place for a party. Next, let's find out exactly how these things turned into such big party houses.
When I first built them, my tenants were Trey Songz, Sean Kingston, Nelly, then Neo, The Weeknd. It was all R&B people, and the neighbors got mad because they had big parties. So I had a lot of trouble with the neighbors from that. But then the kids, the Instagram kids, started making more money than the R&B people. And the funny thing was, Trey Songz would call me and say, "Hey, we want to meet your influencers, and they want to cross collaborate with them." So I was setting up I set up one time 21 Savage was renting the house. Then next door was Rice Gum with a bass clan. And Rice Gum had the hottest rap song out, one of the hot rap songs that just did so amazing. And he was so cool, Rice Gum. I loved him. And he wanted to meet 21 Savage, so they collaborated. And then Sean Kingston was living there. And then Justin Bieber rented the house next door, my house. And then they collaborated together and they became best friends, I think. And they've done a lot of recording together. And then so I was always good at putting people together. And then French Montana was living there. And then, but Trey Songz was so sweet. He invites me to all the parties he has in Hollywood. I stay close to all the people, and always stay close to all my tenants. And even when they ruin my house, like the hype house, I'm not mad at them, I mean, it was part of business. Business is business.
This is a fascinating skill set to learn about. Danny's success is so rooted in his ability to just bring people together. Now it's time that we move on to talk about what happened with the whole hype house fiasco. And if you guys don't know that story, the gist of it is that Danny rented out one of these houses to a bunch of TikTokers who absolutely destroyed the place over the course of their lease. Let's hear about how that all went down in Danny's words.
These hype kids, I don't know if they're really kids. They put everything on their Instagram. So, don't put stuff on Instagram you don't want to come back and haunt you. Remember that, okay? It's happened to me. It's happened to everybody. Things you put on your social media will be on there forever. And by you putting it out there, the whole world can see it. So Hype House put it out there. So that's basically a license that anyone can copy it and use it. So one of my assistants just kept taking stuff off their stories and taking stuff off their feeds, and I couldn't believe it. And I told them that, the fireworks was the last straw when they lit fireworks off in the summer. Okay. A fire zone where my homes are, they back up a big hillside where the house is here and the hillside's up. So you have a firework, it hits the hill, fire burns uphill fast, okay? So
Yeah.
they're lighting fireworks off on the pool, and behind the pool is all brush, and that's a felony. They had to hire William Morris attorneys to get him out of trouble. They were going to get put in jail for this, okay? And they posted it like them doing the crime, a felony. It's like, I'm going to film me in the bank robbing a bank, and smile, like it's, and they say it. Hey, our landlord says no fireworks, but we're gonna light fireworks, like all cute, Our landlord says no pyrotechnics in the house. They had a flamethrower spraying flame in my home with a fire sprinkler right above. The fire sprinkler's right there. So the fire sprinkler goes off, the whole house is flooded, it's millions of dollars damage. Okay. It's like,
This had to be super stressful, but I guess he also knew what he was getting himself into renting out to these TikTok partiers, and that's also probably why he takes such a big security deposit. To round things out, I asked Danny for his advice either for investors out there or just for homeowners out there who bought a home recently and now they're kind of freaked out about all this talk about the recession and the interest rates being so high and the housing market crashing. He starts off with a pretty funny story with his thoughts there. Let's check it out.
I went to the Playboy Mansion many times. I was invited. I was lucky because I had the big nightclub. Hugh Hefner bought the Playboy Mansion in 1972 for, I think, $2 million. Okay. My friend Len Ross bought the William Randolph Hearst estate. He couldn't decide which one to buy. The William Randolph Hearst estate, where Kennedy took Marilyn Monroe, 7 acres in Beverly Hills. Okay. Or like this 5-acre parcel of Hugh Hefner's. So they both were for sale for about $2 million. Len Ross had $2 million at the time. Well, he bought the William Randolph Hearst estate, and then Hugh Hefner bought it's on Maryland Drive, the one in Holmby Hills. Man, was it fun growing up in those Playboy parties. But they each paid $2 million. So today, Len Ross's property sold for, I think, $80 million, and the Playboy Mansion sold for around $80 million also. So they bought it for $2 million in 1972. Look what it went from 1972 to 50 years. It went from 2 million to 70 million. So sure, during those times, it might have went up and down and up and down and up and down. It just kept going like this. It goes like this, But it has a little bit of this. So don't get nervous. Don't get nervous. Just make sure you can handle it. Make sure you can manage it. That's the secret.
If you enjoyed the episode today, hit the like button before you go, and I'm going to leave all of Danny's information down in the description, so make sure to follow him there if you guys want to follow along with everything he has going on in his life. I'll see you next time.